Well, great. Today I'm going to talk about India-US relations. My presentation is about the historical context of the bilateral relationship between the countries, and the time period which I'm covering in my presentation is 1947 to 1966. I will start my presentation with the quote by the Sujit Mal Singh, and according to the scholar, the relationship between India and US were never planned and have never been predicted. No general lines of development is visible in them. This statement explains the nature of India-US relation, which was characterized by lack of clear view about each other and differences in foreign policy principles and rules of national interest and emergence of strong differences in certain issues. Check the growth investigation. So in this way, we can come to know, and this is the larger perspective that during the initial years, both the countries they became very susceptible to each other, and they are not comfortable regarding the understanding of the issues and the nature of the interaction between the countries. If we see the time period between the 1947 to 1955, so we find that in February 1942, Asaf Ali was appointed as Indian ambassador to US, and this opened the era of Indian bilateral relations. During this time, America was involved in European affairs, containment of communism, strengthened her position in Cold War by perpetuating its own status as a superpower in world politics. So it was adjusting to its new role in international politics, and as such, it lacked the concern for the relationship with India. So at that point of time, American priorities were very different as compared to the Indian priorities. Post-independence period, if you see the Indian priorities, so India was generally involved in her domestic affairs. So instead of this, Nehru means we were involved in our domestic things and all these things. But instead of this, Nehru realized the importance of a relationship with the US, and he was hopeful in securing friendly and cooperative relations with it. But at that point of time, America was less interested in India, and Cold War policy and security alliance politics viewed by Nehru with suspicion. So this was the base of the mutual distrust between both the countries. Because American priorities were very different as compared to the Indian priorities. So instead of this, if we analyze, if we means read the things in between the pages, so we find that instead of the domestic imperative, Nehru actually developed the world outlook for itself, so that Nehru means got the help of the means outside help for India. So the initial Indian foreign policy decision, like India's key role in Asia and neutrality in Cold War, that is the non-alignment movement, were strongly resented by the US policymaker in statement. America were apprehensive with the policy of India, the Indian policy of non-alignment, the third way, which is very much known in international politics, and consider it a great handicap for their policy of containment of arms. Independent Indian foreign policy was against American desire for strengthening democratic countries through an alliance for containing the growth of growing power of USS. If we move forward, then we find that in 1949, attempts were made to give start to relations, bilateral relations. This was the means starting point. So this was the means starting point, and then Nehru visited US to secure American friendship and cooperation and to get help for India. By this time, US too had become conscious of the importance of developing relationship with India because of the emergence of the China in the subcontinent, in the Asian continent. Because China actually means emerged as one of the means uh, dominant factor in geopolitics of Asia at that point of time. So it this factor actually compelled Nehru to move to the US and sought help from the America at that point of time. So his visit although failed to produce any tangible result. So Professor T.N. Call, he basically analyzed the main reason for the failure to reach any agreement between both the countries in 1949. So basically, according to him, there are five basic things which are responsible or the lack of agreement between both the countries. First is the lack of mutual respect and understanding. So on the one side, we have a Nehru's idealistic thing, and the other thing is that the enthusiasm for future US containment of USSR and China. Second factor is the too many expectations of each side from each other expectations. So that was based on the wrong premises. So both the sides actually means that when the Nehru visited America, so both the side actually means they had a very large expectations with both of them, but that was very unrealistic and unrealistic uh, on on their part. The third one, which Dean Call talks about, the US view of India as a weak and backward country in dire need for financial resources. Other factor is about the non-alignment movement and the independence of foreign policy, the independent path taken by the America, uh, taken by North America, India, at the foreign policy level. That is the thing. The last thing which he talks about, that India's view of US as a champion of democracy. So, and her expectations that America would readily agree to provide help to the democratic India. So these are the factors responsible for the any kind of the means non-agreement on the both the sides. Apart from it, during the initial year, if we the historical context of both the countries, we find that both the countries they develop a differences on the issues, on the specific issues. So the first is the Kashmir issue. So it was under the influence of the Lord Mountbatten as we and British American delegation at the UN that India decided to refer Kashmir issue to the UN. However, in the discussion over Kashmir in the UN, America and Western attitude appeared to be favorable to Pakistan at the point. By this time, the uh, US started thinking in terms of possible Pakistan's acceptance of America's military lies. This reflected in the importance that the US gave to the visit of Pakistan's Prime Minister Liaquat Ali Khan. Lack of US understanding of India's stand on Kashmir creates a big gap between India and America. The second issue between both the countries was the recognition of the China. In 1949, China emerged as a communist state. That point of time, that was the means emergence of the Cold War when the Cold War just started, and with the start of the Cold War, the China emerged as a communist country under the leadership of. So in December 1949, India, realizing the importance of a relationship with China, decided to give full recognition to China. So that was the moment which actually created distrust between America and China, because America has seen this move as a means which was not very much liked by the policymakers of the America. This decision was resented and opposed by the US because they felt that this was against the policy of containment of communism, because American foreign policy aim at that point of time was to create communism and help the USSR to which enhance growing means communist influence in different parts of the world. So to this was the policy of the America that point of time. The third issue, which was the issue of contention between both the countries, was the Korean crisis. In 1950, US and India views again reflected strong differences of view. Initially, India joined US in describing North Korea as an aggression. However, later, on which US tried to use Korean crisis as a cover for opposing Communist China, as reflected in a decision to cross 30th parallel. India opposed America and did not hesitate to oppose US-backed United for Peace resolution. So this further made Indo-US relations. So this was the historical background of the Indo-US relation. And if we see the India-America bilateral relation in present context, they actually means moved from the distrust to the level of maturity, and now they are sharing a kind of the responsibilities. They are at this strategic relationship. Thanks.